Hey everybody, how y'all doing? So I came on tonight to do Colin Allred's GT. I also did Rick Scott. Is that his name? Rick Scott, Florida. I did both of them on the same day. Um, this is Rick Scott's. I did them yesterday, and then this one is Colin Allred, who I did right there yesterday. I don't know because tomorrow will be on Jen's channel. So I don't think I'm going to have time to get to what's his face's Rick Scott's in time before the election. He's got some interesting stuff, so I'll try to hit the high points after we're done with this one. But this is Colin Allred's. We did Ted Cruz's a couple days ago. We did that one I did the Grand Tableau on the 31st. I don't think I went live with it until last week, if I remember correctly. But his Grand Tableau shows that he does not win the election. If he does, it's almost like he gets lucky and they steal him, but he does not have the votes. And I started getting myself confused, and I talked to Jen, and Jen asked a good question. She said, does it show taking the oath of office? Because Ted Cruz is sitting up here in the House of Clover. Okay, so that means a luck, chance, opportunity. Okay, the crossroads is down here, which would be our elections. So in order to get him to talk to the crossroads, I have to go man to house. House is in its own house. Okay, crossroads, and then key. So in order for him to gain access to that, something needs to be stolen, and that's ballots. And I think I talked about that because he doesn't have them. He's short. So they would need to be stolen. Okay. If you look up here at the ballots, because the mice sits on house letter is up here in the house of fox. Above it is the snake in the house of clouds. If you look all around it, the ballot itself has the clouds next to it. It's got the whip above it, meaning that they're going to contest it. Snake and whip, a chronic liar or chronic problems. And then down here, right below it, the coffin. Okay. And then next to it is the tower in the house of mice. They're going to try to use the legal system in the state to steal it for him. And I think we discussed that. So Jenny brought the point up. She said, does it show him taking the oath? And I thought about it, and I was like, well, what two cards would make an oath? And the best I could come up with would be the cross and then the ring, in that order. Okay, not ring and cross. It has to be cross and ring, because cross and ring is a promise or a commitment that you make that comes with a lot of responsibility. Okay, if it's this other way, ring and cross, it means that a relationship or a promise or some sort of agreement is very burdensome and problematic. Okay, so it needs to be, in order to show an oath, which an oath is usually a promise that you make that comes with a heavy responsibility, it would have to be cross and ring. In his tableau, it does not show cross and ring. It shows ring and cross. So the ring is in house tower. The cross is in house lilies. In order to get those two to talk, so right there, that says that there's a problem with that being able to make that promise. Okay. So you would have to go ring to coffin to cross to mice. In order for him to achieve that, he's going to have to steal it, because the promise, the commitment to him comes to an end here. Ring and cross. It's done. Okay. And then right below it is the cross. So coffin and cross, a very painful loss and ending. And here with the mice in the house of letter, stolen ballots, stolen mail, stolen results. Okay. So his does not show up. It shows a lot of fuckery and thievery around it, but it doesn't show him winning. Now, Colin's, and also in Ted Cruz's grand tableau, it's got Colin Allred right in the center, in the heart of his tableau. Okay. In Colin Allred's grand tableau, remember how we talked about in order for it to show an oath, it has to be cross and ring, a promise that comes with a lot of responsibility. Okay. Well, that combination is here, but you have to go this way. So it's a burden or a sacrifice that's very problematic, but an agreement is achieved, and it's very happy, joyful. It's a good agreement. Okay. So this shows an oath where the other one showed no. There's a lot of fuckery around it. Okay. So this is Colin Allred's grand tableau. I did it on the 3rd. I'm going live with it the next day on the 4th. Hello to everybody. So Colin Allred is presenting right in the center of the tableau, right here, right in the heart of it. And his corners are, they're good. So you have the child in the house of writer, woman in the house of coffin, news about children, women that are sick or dying, woman in the house of coffin. We just got word today of 2 more women that have died in Texas because of Ken Paxton and Ted Cruz and Hot Wheels over there in Texas. One of them was a young mother. I think she was 18 years old, started miscarrying at her baby shower. Mind you, the whole family was Christian pro-life. Well, that young girl she passed away because she miscarried and the hospital could not intervene, and she died of sepsis. So here we're seeing news, new news or news in regards to children, women, or a young woman, news about a young woman that died, or is very, very ill. Women here, and then with clouds, a woman that is confused, a woman that's facing a lot of, what are you saying, Clarence? A woman that is facing a lot of problems, and not just problems, but they're also emotional problems and trauma. This is sitting in the house of moon, which is your emotions. It's your psychological well-being. In a medical reading, this would be the womb with the moon. Okay. Perhaps women that are having complications also to their lungs for not getting proper medical attention. But news about women and young women and mothers that is very, 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 very disturbing and problematic. But there is an agreement for a very positive resolution to this whole scenario. When it shows that this whole thing comes out for women in Texas, very good in their favor. Mind you, the damage is already done. You know, we can't bring those people back. The women that have lost reproductive abilities forever, we can't bring them back. We can't, we can't fix them. The damage is done, and this whole line here talks about how women are exception. There's a vast mobilization of women, and this right here shows also that new success to transition or transfer to move him along. There's going to be attempts to cancel his trip, to cancel his transition. However, the scythe is also the book of the card of danger and surgeries. Okay. So there's also the threat in Texas where the Attorney General is trying to prohibit, litigate, and criminalize women traveling for surgeries. Okay, so that could also be in reference here, because here's a child visiting somewhere for something to do with a child, widespread, or seeking guidance for this, for a child that requires travel, and it becomes dangerous because this sits in the house of house. So not allowing women to travel for surgeries or healthcare. Now, the scythe is in the house of house, which sits right below Colin Allred. This would be surgeries in the state. And this could be danger that's being posed on families in his state, in the state of Texas. Okay. And the continued persistent abuse towards women, and women are pissed. They are pissed. You have the whip in the house of clouds. That is not a good situation. This could be women feeling like they're arguing against a wall because they're dying, and lawmakers are like, no, we don't care, you know. But this is also chronic fever and chronic anxiety. Women are scared and they're pissed. So he's got that in his favor because of this. So child and woman, this would be like a mother, and mothers that are dying, and the risk of getting pregnant in the state of Texas, to where anything can go wrong. And, you know, you could be leaving behind your husband to be a widow to raise your children. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's not a good situation. And then you have the mice in the house of snake, and it nights here as well. Okay, so you're looking at a lot of anxiety, chronic anxiety for women, and chronic anxiety for women that is being caused by a bunch of lies and trouble. Okay, women here in court for laws has been obscured. They don't know what their rights are. They don't, basically, as we've seen time and time again, the doctors have to wait for women to be with one foot in the door on death's grave before they can do anything, or risk the doctors risking going to prison for the rest of their lives. Okay. So that's another thing that women are really pissed off about, because they are not certain what legal roads they have. It's uncertain here. Women is sitting in the house of coffin. Women feel that like being pregnant is being sentenced to death in the state of Texas. If anything goes wrong, you're being sentenced to death, basically. And there's no legal recourse here. If this is the law, it sits in the house of stars, the law that's supposed to be providing guidance. No, it doesn't. If you follow the law, the line down, the law itself is so obscured that you don't know. And women are dying as a result of that. She sits in the house of coffin. Now, Colin Allred sits in the heart of the tableau. He sits in the house of birds. And then you have the lilies right next to him in the house of child, the house in the house of garden, and the storks in the house of mountain. Okay, so this, I can interpret this a couple of ways. It shows that he has the maturity and the character and the patience to fill the role of a senator. Okay, and here this is showing like he upgrades from being a member of the House, because the House is right here. He upgrades to this. He upgrades to a more senior role. That's not what I'm saying, Clarence. So it's showing that he upgrades to a more senior role. Okay, so this would be like in the Senate. Okay, also because the House is sitting in the House of Garden. The Senate itself, even though there's only 50 members, yes, there's more members in the House of Representatives, but in the Senate, you play a larger role for the country. Okay, and it shows here, House in the House of Garden, Texas. For him in Texas, he moves out of House and moves to a larger stage in the Congress where he is elevated in his seniority. So from Congress member from Congress member to Senate, if that makes sense. Now, I was trying to see where I would find the piece of shit Ted Cruz. Maybe I'll find him as we look at this. Because Colin Allred's tableau, straight down this line, this is the column for November. Elections are tomorrow. Okay. I don't know when we're going to get the results for Texas, Florida, and all those other states. I'm in California. We know California takes like a fucking week to count because we're so large and so densely populated. But his line here, okay, there's danger and surgeries that are on his mind for families and dangers to families. Scythe in the House of House. There's the man. Beneath him is the House. Him in Congress and his position right now. What he knows. His line of fate. Desire. Election. Access to the Senate. Here. So this sits in the House of Key. It's the answer. The access is how people are passionate about what he's offering. Crossroads in the House of Mice. A lot in the election. A lot. An abundance. Okay. Achieving what he wants with the Key. And then here with the Garden. All right. So I hope I'm not twisting this in my own mind, but it looks like Ted Cruz's tableau shows that he loses and they're going to try to fuck it up to where they can steal the win for him. This looks like it's too much for them to be able to steal it away from Colin Allred, if that makes sense. Let me see here. This line shows that there's a little bit of a problem to him getting there. There might be some litigation because there's going to be litigation here. They're going to try to block him here, his path. Okay, but he ultimately gets it. Let me see here. And he also has a coalition of allies around him that are partnering with him that are conservative. And it's around pregnancies. It's around pregnancies. And here's the coalition from the opposition here. Okay. Let me see. It shows he knights here to the stars and here to the rider. It shows that he is on a clear path to go, but he's going to have to fight here, litigate and fight a person that is recognized as a chronic liar this way. He's going to have to fight a lot of the lies. And those lies are about the election. This sits in the House of Snake. Okay. So a lot of chronic lying by the chimpanzee, the orange Mussolini, the Cheeto Bandito, the freaking Diaper Don, the Tangerine Tyrant, whatever you want to call him. All the stuff that he's perpetrated But there's going to be a lot of legal fights and litigation. And we saw that in Ted Cruz's tableau as well. I'd be curious after the election, because you guys let me know that Ken Paxton isn't up until 2026. But I want to do his grand tableau too. Even I'll probably try to go live Wednesday or Thursday with it, because I know tomorrow will be on Jen's channel. Because I know he's not up for election, but that guy is Merrick Garland was not the right person for the job, and I'm fairly confident that we're going to have a new AG, and the next one I don't think is going to play fuck around and find out with Ken Paxton and everything he's done, suing the federal government to deny women health care even if they're needing life-saving medical attention. He sued the federal government for that. One, the Supreme Court in Texas upheld it. The Biden administration tried to take it to the Supreme Court of the United States, and the Supreme Court of the United States says, nah, we're good. So it was Ken Paxton's own doing that even women that you could be on the hospital bed dying on life support, and he's like, no, die. So I would be curious to do his, even though it would only go out for a year. But I got a stinking feeling he's about to piss some people off. And the only reason Ken Paxton is still there, let me remind you, was because the Republicans in the state of Texas impeached him, and they were about to convict him in the Senate. And the only reason they acquitted him was because of the pressure campaign that Donald Trump put on all of the Republicans in Texas, that if they ousted Ken Paxton, he was going to come after them. That's the only reason why he was acquitted. Okay, so I'd be curious to do his. So any questions on this one? J Cat Lady, please see the video, the grand tableau that I did on on Ted Cruz, because that shows up in Ted Cruz's. It shows that there's 3 in the court that change. They go away. They lose. J-Lo, we ain't got to hope, girl. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Let me see here. Where would Ted Cruz be? No, he can't be the snake. That's the Queen of Clubs. Let me see here. The only options I have would be the lilies, the house, the clouds, and where is it? Where is it? And the fish. Those are the only 4. If I had to guess between those 4, because those are pips, I would probably go with the fish. I would go with the fish. And he doesn't look good. And the reason I say that is because the fish is sitting in the house of mice. This person is nervous. This person is nervous. They're shitting their pants. They're thinking about stealing something or they're not going to, there's going to be too much of a ballot. This is a lot and many, an abundance of something. There's a lot of ballots, a lot of mail, a lot of results. Okay. This person, if you follow it up, is worried, shit in their pants. This person is also a liar. They're worried that they're in trouble and they're going to get blocked here from power. This sits in the house of bear. Okay. And this person also has a shit ton of money right here. Fish is in abundance. This is resources. Well, if you look at the fish, his career has been problematic in his position in the law. Okay. This is sitting in the house of Fox. So he has a reputation for being sneaky, conniving, sneaky. Okay. That's his reputation. Blocked from power and a new direction in bureaucracy. He's a liar. This person lies a lot. Lies about the elections. This is in the house of snake. Speaks with a forked tongue. The crossroads are doubles or multiples. So whatever he says, check it and triple check it because he speaks out of both sides of his mouth. He's a liar. This is him. Okay. This sits in the house of mice. Like I said, worried, nervous, anxious, also very corrupt. Very corrupt. And then a lot of ballots here. Committed to power. But that power, if you close out this little box right here, uncertain. This sits in the house of moon. The moon is right here. So if this is Ted Cruz, his career, this is in the house of moon. The moon sits right on this diagonal. His career and reputation as a slimy, sneaky piece of shit. The job that he's done. Okay. A lot of corruption and thievery. Uncertain about his career. His clinging to power, uncertain. No. That's a lot. Okay. So out of all of these, this card, and this card, I would think that this would be Ted Cruz. And the reason I say that, this is the King of Clubs. That would be your Donald Trump. By the rule of near and far, you see how close these are? This guy's kissing this guy's ass, if that makes sense. He's an apologist, a bootlicker. He's aligned himself. He's linked to power that is problematic. That's another way to interpret that. Okay, so he's not looking good. You see, he knights here. So opportunistic person this way. This is, these can be read as two men because this is the King of Spades. But this is a person that perhaps had seniority one way or another, and he knights here to women or to a woman. But that woman is sick or dead or dying. And this right here would be a chronic illness. The coffin is way over here. So it's not really talking to these, but these two with the coffin and the tree and this, the cross, if you had a cluster of those, that would say a serious illness, but this is more like an illness towards that women are suffering from illness and getting sick and dying. So this would be Ted Cruz. That would be Trump. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Now let's see here. This would be December. There's an achievement of a peaceful change or a long-awaited change that is a lot of luck and a huge opportunity for women to gain access and maintain that access. Okay, so we're looking at over the If this is the Senate, because the Senate is more senior than members of the House, okay, there's an increase here. There's an increase. So it's not like it's going to, by the looks of this, it doesn't look like a 50-50 Senate. It looks like they get a small increase of maybe 2, because this is card number 2 right below. That win, this sits in the House of Women. That win gives women access, and then they're able to maintain that access. Key sits in the House of Anchor. Anchor sits in the House of Tree. So with his win, there's an elevation, possibly by 2, possibly, okay, in the Senate that give women access, and they're able to retain that access when it comes to pregnancies and childbirth. This is a card of pregnancy. The storks bring the babies, okay? That the access that has been blocked for them, they get it and they maintain it in regards to their health care right here. Okay, so by December, we have the numbers to do that. Okay, even though the new Congress doesn't get sworn in until January. Okay, in January, you're going to see some criticism on people's reputations. You're going to hear a bunch of lying about the election, criticizing. And this is in the House of Clouds. Okay, so both of them are clubs. Okay, so this is the Jack of Clubs. The Clouds is the King of Clubs. You're going to see a lot of chronic gaslighting, misinformation, bullshit, false outrage. It's performative, though. Here, it's performative. Okay, and it's meant to be manipulative as well, lying about the election. So rewind the tape for 2016, rewind the fucking tape for 2020. We've heard it, we've seen it. It just, that's all they got. The election was stolen. There was a bunch of fucking false ballots. False, a lot of ballots. This sits in the House of Crossroads. They stole the election. Blame the women. Da-da-da-da-da. It doesn't fly, because the promise is still made. This is sitting in the House of Lilies. Lilies is right next to him. The Garden is in the House of Cross. He is going to make the oath and be on a larger stage. That comes with a big responsibility. Okay? But he keeps the promise, if that makes sense. In February, we're going to see whatever there's a team of people that were a bunch of liars. This, it's in the House of Snake. It knights down here to the Snake in the House of Crossroads. The crazies, the crazy liars, the crazy problematic people. Perhaps in the House of Representatives, or just the crazy caucus. How about we just call them that? The crazy caucus. Whatever delays and obstructions that had happened, those start to see momentum and moving forward. And it could also be nervousness around stuff that was perhaps being withheld, that had to do with an enemy. That moves forward. Let me see here. Let me see. Yeah, it's the same old playbook, Joyce. It's right here. The same old, come January. Dust off the playbook, rinse, repeat, do it over again. You know, it's don't even go on Twitter. Don't even, because it's going to be Elon Musk throttling Twitter to propagate misinformation, all that shit. Just Don't even. Let me see here. The stuff around women. The stuff around women, we might start seeing bills around that effective around March. So this is November, this is December. By like I said, by December they have the numbers where he's going to the Senate, maybe by 2 extra. That gives women access to make it permanent that they're going to get access to health care. You might see that bill, because this is December, they still need to get inaugurated in January. The crazies get blocked. See, crazies are blocked. The majority has the power now. Okay. There's something here for a woman or women, where they're trying to pass bills or whatever, but it's gonna I don't know if this is some states or state bureaucracies that are going to try to muck this up. Hold on. I'm gonna hold on. Hey, Jay or Jenny. Second. Around March, you might see women trying to fight with the law for some sort of I don't want to just say monetary compensation, because it shows here and it shows here. Okay. And this would be for the state of Texas. Monetary compensation or some legal recourse for permanent damages to their body. permanent illnesses that they're now facing, because this would be permanent, persistent. Okay. Chronic. Like I said, these are illness, and this woman sits in the house of coffin. Legal recourse. Women seeking legal recourse, either financially or through some other means, for permanent damages to their body, either through loss of being able to no longer carry a pregnancy, to not be to be infertile, basically, because of the state. That's going to come to some problems. There's going to be some fuckery in the courts there. But it's like women go to court here and they're seeking a resolution or some sort of a result, because they're like I said, if the she knights here, the woman knights here, okay, to the moon, this would be like your womb. And here it shows something permanent and chronic that's health related to women or to a woman. So how do I say this? And she knights here. So this could be a lot of women, an abundance of women. That are going to the courts for justice because they've been damaged, if that makes any sense. So either suing the state because there's litigation here. And we've seen that already with, what was that lady's name? I'm sorry that I forget, because there's just been so many. The woman out of Texas that almost died, that really wanted to have a baby, and she'll never be able to have a baby now because they denied her health care so badly that by the time the doctors could intervene, they had to do a hysterectomy. She'll never be able to bear children again. You know, like a class action lawsuit. Yeah, maybe, because there's a lawsuit here by a lot of women. A lot of women. A lot. Because of something that was taken away and that's permanently damaged them. Either through emotional trauma, mental trauma. I mean, can you imagine the state forcing you to give birth to a non-viable pregnancy, to sit there and force you to do that and then hold your child for 30 minutes while you watch that child suffer before it dies? You know, but there's lawsuits and shit from women going to the courts to rectify this. That looks like it starts up in March, or we may hear something around it in March. Let me see. The entire conversation about there's going to also be a lot of stuff in the state of Texas around the discussion and indoctrination of children into religious stuff in public places. So perhaps like in schools, that's going to come up for debate. The women are suing the government. They're going to the law for them to pay. Lawsuit. This is financial here. So now you're looking at women that have the survivors that have permanent health problems now Now they're paying more for insurance. Now they're paying more for medication, all because the state denied them basic health care. You know, exactly, Blue Melissa, women that have been jailed for miscarriages. You know, didn't that happen? Was it Ohio or Idaho? Or a woman spent 13 months in jail, 13 months in jail for miscarrying. So criminalizing of pregnancies and criminalizing of something that happens to 1 in 4 women or 1 in 5 women, you know? So, anyways, there's, and also a lot of, there's going to be a lot of, conversations to outside of religious indoctrination into children in public places. So perhaps putting the 10 commandments in fucking schools and all that bullshit, people are going to start fighting back against that. But also conversations about the losses and sacrifices of children in public places. So think about the conversation coming up again about assault weapons bans. Okay. So that's coming back around March, April in the state. Okay. Also, the conversations about children that have had to suffer pregnancies because it was forced on them. Child in the House of Ryder. Okay. And then birds in the House of Bouquet. Conversations about children. The cross in the House of Storks, suffering, and then pregnancies. So you're looking at the victims of sexual assault being forced to bring to term your rapist's child. So now your child is your brother or your sister. Your daughter is your brother or your sister or your cousin or niece and nephew. I mean, think about how fucking sick that is. You know. But that's going to be hard. He's got the ship in his own house in this grand tableau. The ship is about enterprise. It's about trips. It's a card of movement. He's got a card of movement here and the ring here. This shows that he's moving and progressing forward, and he's about to make a promise. Okay. Ship in its own house, changes, transitions, trips, something abroad, vacations. He's in the House of Birds, communicator, talking. Storks in the House of Mountain, overcoming the obstacles in progress. And then ring in the House of Lilies, and at nights here as well. A promise that is clean, a promise that is virtuous. Again, so like an oath, but he progresses. He transitions and progresses, if that makes sense. Okay, so there's something going on in the state of Texas with the person that is in a position whose power is going to get very problematic, and it's around resources and money. I'm wondering if this is Ken Paxton or not Ken Paxton, Hot Wheels. Because the reason I say that, even though this is not a pip card, okay, he's got the cross right above him. He's got the rider right above him. The cross is the back, your back. The rider is anything from the legs down, and then the tree. This person has an issue with mobility with the legs down. Does that make sense? So I'm wondering, even though this person is not a pip, okay, because of what's touching him immediately, I would say that that's Hot Wheels right there. This person is in a scheme to steal something from him and claim fraud. See this? Follow him up. And we've already discussed that, and that showed up in what's his face's tableau. That it shows Ted Cruz losing. They're going to try like hell to steal it from him, but it's almost like it's too much. Okay. This person has energy too around them. A lot of energy, companies, perhaps. Sun in the House of Tower. He takes a lot of gifts too. He makes promises. Like I wouldn't legally, it's not bribes, but it kind of is. Okay. But this is, I would venture to say that this is Hot Wheels. If you follow his line this way, this guy's going to get in trouble, and there's going to be investigators coming to his home. Knock, knock, bitch. Let me see. This is November, December, January, February, March, April, around May. Widespread, something very, 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 very vast. That was opportunistic. That was a risk. The fox in the house of Scythe, a dangerous spy, someone that is sneaky, fraudulent, visitor here, sits in the house of dog, and then there's Paxton right there, dog in the house of book. He's going to get caught up in something, and there's people coming to show up at his door like, hey, what are you doing? And it may have something to do with money or aid, and perhaps a mismanagement of it. Because if you look at it this way, this is health. We've already determined that this person has a mobility problem on either the back or the legs. Okay. And the reason I say that is because the tree is right next to him. This tells me there's something wrong with this person's health. Back and legs. This is a mobility card. Wheels, Hot Wheels. Okay. Something that was given to him, a gift that was promised. What sort of gift was that? Financial. That gift was given to him for health reasons. So I don't know if this is in regards to COVID money or what, but there's mismanagement here. And what the fuck is this? Where'd that money go? So I wouldn't be surprised with the new administration, and also with the corners. There's a new woman in town that's going to be problematic, but she's not fucking around. We're going to be pleased. Follow this line. And also woman and law. This could also be in reference. I touched on it briefly. I can't remember what grand tableau it was. I want to say it was Ted Cruz's. Abbott is in a wheelchair because a tree fell on him. Well, now I'm 100% confident that this is Hot Wheels. Okay. I touched on it. I think it was Ted Cruz's grand tableau, or it might have been the muskrat. I think it was the muskrat. And I would love if Jenny, if you're still in the chat. Jenny, are you still there? I think it was an Elon Musk's grand tableau where I brought up the question, I wonder if the new attorney general is going to be a woman under the Harris administration, because it says here, new woman, she's in the law. She's going to be problematic for this guy. Someone's going to come in looking, what the fuck did you do with the money? And it's not just, what did you do with the money? Follow the line up. Why were you sending people away? Remember the stunt that Abbott pulled in Texas, tricking and busing migrants somewhere else, human trafficking, that sort of thing? Follow this line. And it's almost like once they start digging in that, this whole financial mess is going to unravel, and he's going to be in a shit ton of trouble. I need to do a grand tableau on him too, even though I know he's not up for re-election, correct? Do I have any people from Texas in the chat? He was reelected last year. Well, he's gonna have some problems with resources that were given for healthcare reasons, and he mismanaged it. He seriously mismanaged it. There's going to be someone looking into that. If I had to guess who it would be for the piece of shit other guy, Paxton, I would venture to say this one here. This one here, King of Clubs, because he sits closer to the tower. And he also had a mistress here. The snake is a liar. It's someone that is jealous. It is trouble. It's a liar, jealous, trouble, vindictive. But as far as relationship goes, the snake is also the other woman. This is the queen of clubs. This is the king of clubs. By suit, they are a pair. So I would, if I had to venture, this would be Paxton. But I would have to do a GT on him too. So I got to do one on this piece of shit and that piece of shit separate. Let me see. Okay, so Abbott isn't up for 2 more years, but he's going to have knock on your door. You see, November, December, January, February, March, around May. Looks like it's around May. And it has to do around something that they were doing that was fraudulent. It could also have something to do with how they manipulated something around surgeries, because it sits in the house of Scythe. It could be around something that they did that was manipulative to purge, because the Scythe cuts something away. Okay. So this line here, where Colin Allred is talking more about how these podcasters, and I say that because of the birds, podcasters, Twitter being manipulated and shutting stuff down. And I say Twitter because this is on the internet here. Okay. Twitter being manipulated, podcasters, but it's all propaganda, and it's manipulative and very, very dangerous. And there's a lot of foreign influence here, because the ship sits here. Okay. And this right here. So this right here, if this is foreign, this sits in its own house. the fox and the cross, this would be like people that are just unwitting idiots of foreign agents. You know what I mean? Like the morons that do the podcasters, Elon Musk's, like all that shit, just misinformation. All of that, we start seeing it slowly coming to an end. It won't be as rampant. Not all of it ends. It's just certain aspects to that platform or those platforms. Those people that are doing these things as jobs. Okay. And if this is a podcaster, someone that's gossiping and manipulating, their job is to gossip and manipulate. That comes to an end. It closes here. Okay. There's a loss. And that loss comes because they've either chronically abused something or because it's become so dangerous that it has to be shut down. I'm not saying it's Twitter. I'm just saying the talking heads that are manipulative and dangerous, the toxic propaganda that comes out of the MAGA wing over time. Okay. We might see the start of it, within the timeline of this tableau, but it doesn't officially end because it needs to come up here. That would be permanent. See what I'm saying? So it's like, it's at the right here with the child. It's like at the beginning of it, the beginning of putting this shit to bed, or, 6 feet under. There's going to be he's also probably going to come up against some criticism that he is not bipartisan, that he is not reaching across the aisle, because there's criticism here for him. Again, that narrative is manipulative. It's propaganda. It's a lie. Okay. But it's because you can't negotiate. If this is negotiations, you can't negotiate with people that are just like the Lindsey Grahams and the Mitch McConnells. The difference between the fox and the snake, you can see this for what it is. The snake, you can see it for what it is. This is a manipulator. They're chameleons. They change color. They go whichever way the wind blows to get what they want, and then turn around and stab you in the back. Okay. So he's going to have to learn also to not negotiate with certain people, where some things are just not going to be up for negotiation, period, full stop, end of story. So like this whole shit, like, well, we're not going to pass a bill until you do this, that. We're not going to pass a bill if you're wanting to fund the Ukraine. Okay, we don't need you. Go fuck yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? Like those sort of things. Let me see. He's going to have to learn to be very, very patient, which he is overall, because the lilies is right next to him. He's going to come up against some roadblocks, though, in regards to his power or what he's wanting to get past. But he does have guidance and success in government this way. Also, if this, because he sits in the line with the crossroads, if this is also in regards to his election, there's going to be a lot of talk about this was fraudulent, they stole it, yada, yada, blah, 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 blah. He didn't win, shut it down. They're going to try to block him here. He still gets in. This line here shows that he has success in the elections, and he is granted access to represent the home, but also on a larger stage in the Senate, if I'm interpreting that correctly. Okay. Any questions? That I can ask while I'm here before I shut it down? This isn't a grand tableau on Cruz, so I couldn't answer that question if his parents made him that way. What I do appreciate, though, he's got the lilies right next to him. This is the card of virtue. Okay. He's honest. He knights up here to the whip. He knights down here to the snake. Because of his honesty and his character, his reputation and his character, the way that he presents himself, he's going to fight liars. He's going to criticize liars. He's going to call you out on your bullshit, and that's what makes him respectable. And that's what makes others want to keep him out of power, block him from getting into power. But it shows here that he overcomes it. If this is a blockage, it's overcome here, and this sits in the House of Mountain. Again, they're going to try the fuckery with the election was stolen. This sits in the House of the Crossroads. The election was stolen. There's a lot of fraudulent ballots. This guy's going to get caught up in some shit, because this is the line here that talks about the state and how the state is voting this way. There's a huge turnout, a lot of ballots. This line intersects here. So this homeboy is going to get caught up. And I also don't know if he's going to get caught up in something that is also another form of not just voter intimidation and purging voters, because this shows manipulation and fraud by cutting something out. Not just intimidation of voters and throwing out ballots. And Ken Paxton is on the record on an interview bragging about how he threw out like millions of votes. He's going to get caught up in something else. So I would be interested in doing a tableau on him, because it looks like this right here would be widespread fraud, news of widespread fraud from this person. Okay. So I need to do one on him. But back to Colin, his character, his honesty, shows that he'll call out an asshole in not such harsh terms, but he's gonna let you know you're full of shit. He's not afraid to go toe to toe with liars and call them out. Let's see here. Nope, I haven't done one on Tennessee, and I don't know who's in Tennessee. Is that Marsha Blackburn? Nope, and it's too late to be doing one since the election is tomorrow. Like I said, if I'm interpreting this correctly, it shows Ted Cruz losing and this guy getting the promotion, moving up to a more senior role, more respected role. That not just a more respected role, but it's a role that has more longevity. Okay, because the House is every 2 years, correct? The Senate is every 6. This is a time card. This is a mood and time card as well. This is a long time. Okay, so it shows that he's promoted and he's in a position to where it's a bit more permanent over a longer period of time. Okay. Tomorrow we're on Jen's channel. I think Johnny's going to be there. Autumn, Lori, Ona, myself. I think Adrian's going to be there. I know that we're not going to get all of the election results tomorrow. Have your snacks ready. Let's send these motherfuckers packing. Let's be done with it. Again, I'm hoping that I interpreted this correctly and I'm not infusing my own, bias or hopes into it. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thank you all so much for hanging out. I'll try to remember to do one on this piece of shit and that piece of shit after the elections later this week. Okay, so you guys got snacks for tomorrow? I got snacks too. I got popcorn, nutty bars, mini corn dogs, chicken nuggets, carne asada, my whiskey. I'm going to need some whiskey tomorrow because I'm celebrating the demise of the GOP, the gross old party. There's that. I think that's it. That's a whole Southern goodbye again. So let's get it done. Let's get it done. And for those of you, I don't know, I'm pretty sure most of you have already voted, early voting, vote by mail or whatever. If you know anyone that goes to the polls tomorrow and they experience any kind of harassment, call 911 because that shit's fucking illegal and we ain't playing around with that crap. Okay. Yeehaw, fuck the law. No, sir. No, sir. Okay. So peace out, y'all. See you next time. Well, actually, next time is tomorrow. Okay. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.